Hello and howdy, everyone. I'm here to talk about the new film from Guillermo del Toro, Pacific Rim. And I enjoyed it. It's basically a love letter to my youth. It seems like it's about giant robots fighting giant monsters. You know, I probably don't have to tell you what Pacific Rim is about. I give it an 8. You know, there's no reason I can't give it an 8. I didn't absolutely love it, you know, like I had my expectations up, you know, and expectations are the enemy. But, you know, months ago, as soon as I heard that there was going to be a movie with giant monsters, you know, that's all I need is giant monsters, but let alone fighting giant robots, and then written and directed by Guillermo del Toro. And then I was just like, wow, that's going to be Citizen Kane. So I was super pumped to see the film. And, you know, again, I didn't, you know, my mind didn't explode from joy, but it was a good watch. You know, I had a fun time. I've seen it twice. You know, I'm not recording every single, you know, movie, you know, I see. If I feel I'm going to see a movie twice relatively close together, then I'll just wait till I've seen it the second time. And I have seen it twice, and I, you know, again, thoroughly enjoyed each viewing. I think what I didn't like about it, you know, everything, it just had these, like, slight divergences into cheese, which I don't mind so much, but it, you know, it got cheesy sometimes. And a little, you know, not going to camp, but, you know, knocking on the door of camp. Also, I thought that there was only one female character, like in the entire film, I think, that even had lines. There was only one female in the movie, which doesn't seem right, you know, being like a geek heaven movie. It seems like in a geek's dream there'd be like several beautiful women. But here we only have one, and she is very beautiful, Rinko Kikuchi. But old Miss Kikuchi has... you know, she just has a... I sometimes felt bad for her. You know, I sometimes felt bad for her just because she had to be, you know, the stereotypical girl, you know, and surrounded by all this testosterone, and she had to be, you know, kind of extra sweet and awkward, and, you know, though I did appreciate it, it just seemed that at some points her character was a little cliched. And if I'm talking about cheese, that it kind of had to do around her character. You know, it was slightly disappointing that, you know, all the battles, I thought that all the battles were really well done. They looked really good. You know, you could follow them. You know, it made sense. They made sense. But they all happen, like, at night, and in the rain, or, you know, out in the ocean or underwater. There's only just brief moments, and it's probably one of my favorite moments, where they, you know, the monsters and robots are in daylight and you know, on display. You know, on display. You can really get the details down. But mostly it's just like it's in the rain, you know, and it's easier for special effects, you know, to be in the rain and in the dark. But again, we're watching a movie about giant monsters fighting giant robots, so it's pretty obvious that it's fake. So why not just let us see everything? And, if the special effects aren't perfect, aren't photorealistic, we're going to forgive you, just because it's giant monsters fighting giant robots. I thought all of the character designs were really cool. There were several parts of the film where I was just like, wow, that's awesome. I spent probably the last half of the second act and most of the third, on the edge of my seat. I was sucked in. That's what I really enjoyed about it, are the details of this world. It doesn't... this isn't about the beginning of the war. Now that I think we're going to get a Pacific Rim sequel, I think that, maybe it will be a prequel. This is not about the beginning of the war. This is about the end of the war. So I guess we hope we get more details about how it all started. But they take the first, 12 to 15 minutes of the film to set you up. And then, we get to witness, the end of this monumental war. So I like that it doesn't waste too much time with that build-up, with that exposition. And instead it gives us details and character nuance, about living in this world and with these constant attacks, monster attacks. I guess they're called kaiju. Japanese for giant beast. It was very well directed. There was some beautiful camera work in this film. Some good color. Again, with the exception of the few monster battles that are dark and wet, the film looks gorgeous. I was transported to this time and this world. What else? See, I don't have much to say about it just because it's it's so simple, and it really gave time to each character. I felt that I liked and enjoyed and knew each character. Like even the satellite characters have at least one little good scene where their true character is revealed, and I enjoyed that. Good music. I grew up on Godzilla films. I absolutely love the old Godzilla movies, and even the music, it seemed like an homage to the old Godzilla stuff. You see the monster and that music starts up, that dun, 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 and it made me happy. It just made me happy. I guess the freakiest thing about this film for me, and why, I absolutely loved it, and it just felt so weird. I really haven't had a experience quite like it. There's a scene in the film where they're actually just testing one of the robots, but to test the robots you need like two human pilots to drift together and sync up mentally. And while doing that, you're in the other person's mind, and you can see their memories, what have you. So I can't call it a dream or nightmare, but she was, the aforementioned Rinko Kikuchi was stuck in a memory, and it was, I don't feel that I'm spoiling anything. It was one of the best scenes of the film, but it was a scene where one of the kaiju, this giant crab-type monster, is, in the process of destroying the city, and yet becomes focused on this one tiny girl, and becomes kind of hell-bent on her destruction, just squash that ant, tear the legs off that ant and watch it roll around. And, she hides, and it tries to get her. Anyway, again, if you've seen the film, that's the scene I want you to be picturing. But that scene was a recurring nightmare I had from like the ages, maybe from 10 to 12, maybe like 9 to 12, for a good few years there. It wasn't every night, but, maybe a couple times a month, I would have that nightmare. And that nightmare was on display for everyone to see in this film. And while I was watching it, that's what I can't describe. I can't describe the feeling of having, in a way, I felt violated. I was like, how did they know that? How did they get into my brain and take my dream from me and then put it out there, for everyone to see? I felt like everyone was mocking me, in a way that now they've seen what, I was terrified of as a kid. And I kind of fell in love, in that moment, that someone, because, maybe that's a common dream, maybe that's something that isn't so special. And it just seemed bizarre. I can't describe the feeling. And so I love the movie kind of for that reason alone. It was my favorite scene of the film. It was the best looking scene of the film. It was the scariest moment of the film. As I was watching it, I got short of breath. It wasn't like the scene itself. I was suddenly 10 again, and I had, just woken up from having that nightmare. So it was just really, really bizarre and came out of left field. I wasn't prepared for it. And, whatever. It's probably one of the reasons why I love the film. I don't know what else to say, just because I liked it so much. I'm not giving it a 9 or a 10 just because, it wasn't perfect. I can't give it a 9 or a 10, but there's no way that I'd ever give this under an 8, and I definitely will buy this movie. I have no problem having this in my collection, so that says something. Another success for Guillermo del Toro, I definitely prefer this film to his Hellboy movies. I don't think the Hellboy movies are bad, but, I don't love them. And I kind of love this. I kind of love this. It's certainly no Pan's Labyrinth or Devil's Backbone, or maybe even Kronos, but it's really good. And it's just totally, original and fun and new. I haven't seen a movie quite like this. There's a lot of anime that's similar. I had a friend who cried foul because of, and I can't even pronounce it right, but is it Eva Evangelon or something like that? I'm very limited in my anime vocabulary, but something like Even Evangeline, something like that. And when they talked about it, yeah, I can recall that, and the character designs kind of look like that. Especially there's, a scene that kind of takes place in outer space with a flying kaiju and our hero robot that was just very anime-esque. And I think the movie is doing quite well over in Asia, over in the Pacific Rim. I think I've said all I gotta say. Directed by Guillermo del Toro, co-written by del Toro. I'm not sure. Someone else wrote the story and then co-wrote the script, but they had a great idea, and I hope they have a good prequel in mind. It was just fun, and you don't really see movies like that, too often. Just wholly original and special effects extravaganza, but yet it had, a very human center, and made you care about all of this chaos going on. I thought Ron Perlman's in it, Idris Elba, Charlie Day, Rinko Kikuchi. Who else is in there? I guess those are the big names that I know, at least. I really enjoyed the dueling mad scientists. Half of the team played by Charlie Day. Really enjoyed them. Really enjoyed all the characters, actually. I think they all have their little moments. And it just makes for an enjoyable experience. Yeah, there's a gorgeous scene when one of the Jaegers, which are the giant robots, when one of the Jaegers stumbles on like an ice field, or I'm not sure where he is, but he collapses, and it's next to like this father and son, or grandson and grandpa, and you really get the scale of it. Really is kind of the best shot of the film, and this old man is running alongside this Jaeger, this mountainous Jaeger, and it finally zooms in on the eye where you see the pilot, and it was just an amazing shot, and there were several times during the film where my mouth was just open and it was just in awe. Along the lines of that, I did not see this in IMAX 3D. Again, if you follow these videos for some reason, I do not support 3D films or IMAX films unless they are filmed in that format. This was not. So there's absolutely no reason to see it in that format. If you want to see an IMAX movie for regular movie prices, just sit a little bit closer to the screen. That's really all you gotta do. And then all of a sudden you're watching an IMAX movie. Use your brain. Just sit a little bit closer, have it fill up your field of vision, and then all of a sudden you're in an IMAX movie. But still, I wouldn't want to see this in 3D. One, just not necessary, and it would take away some of that gorgeous color, and I know leaving it feel flat. I guess Ron Perlman's character, I could have used some more background on him. I mean, he was definitely a colorful character, but he just kind of seemed there. I could have known more about that whole trade. We get to see glimpses of it, but maybe the prequel will be more about that. But it was just like, yeah, okay, all right, just a little. And then there's the whole, the kaiju are coming for the one person. It just seems like they teased a lot of details, but they didn't really get into it, and maybe that's, a strategy. I don't know, I feel like I could keep on thinking of things to talk about with this, but overall, I enjoyed it a lot. I'll definitely buy it and have it in my collection next to my other Godzilla movies. And other great horror film or monster movie, The Host. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I got to say about it. I think I pretty much covered all my bases. But I did see it twice. That's Pacific Rim, and I'm giving it a solid 8. Thanks much.